What do we have here? It looks like a carob tree. I wonder if there are any pods on this tree. Oh, look. There are a few. They're left over from last year. Means they're nice and dry. All right, I'll take them. Dropped that. And while I pick up my bowl, take a look at all those pods on the floor. Oh well, so much for my getting freshly... Ooh, wait. There's more up there. I'm gonna get them. Here we go, a handful. Put it in my bowl. Ooh, over here. Look at this. Carob. So we might say carob. What are we going to do with these pods? Well, carob makes good powder. I know. Some people think that it's a substitute for chocolate. No, it is not a substitute for chocolate. In no way, shape, or form, it could never be a substitute for chocolate. Never. Chocolate is very different. But carob is good in its own right. I mean, as long as you don't have this crazy notion that it's chocolate, it has its own purpose. It's good for flavoring. It's good for putting in milk. It's good for putting in cakes. It's good for a lot of things, actually. There's a lot here. Definitely a lot here. I'm just going to get a big bowl full. I don't need to pick all of them. Let me get a few more. There's a lot in there. Let me just get a few more. There's still plenty in there. Look at that. That's for whatever animals like to eat them. You know, like wild boar. If anybody else wants to come pick, that's fine. I mean, this is a public tree. But here's an interesting thing. Do you see these? These are baby carob. Well, they're flowers. These are the flowers. And from these are going to be new carobs. Aren't those nice? I'm gonna not disturb those. And that'll be good. Yeah. So let's go take home the carobs that I picked, and I'll show you how I make them, how I turn them into a carob powder. Aren't I lucky? Ha! I just need to cross this parking lot. The tree is really close to home. Listen. Do you hear that? Those are the bees pollinating the carob flowers. Do you see that? You see, you need a female and a male carob tree. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? These carobs are providing food for the bees in this season, which is actually dry regarding flowers. So I'm really happy. Hello. Isn't that nice? Thank you, tree. Thank you. This tree is feeding my bees. Yay! Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. I have my bowl of carob. So now I need to just check each one and make sure that they don't have any holes in them. They're not rotted. And you might say, wait a second, what about all the dust, right? Because some of them have dust on them and you don't want the dust. So the important thing is you have to just make sure that they're not rotted. And once you make sure that they're not rotted, then you can rinse them. And that is what I have done with these. I've already rinsed these. I've already checked them, and I know they're dry. You hear that? See? When they rattle, you know they're dry. So sometimes you can pick carobs and they're still soft. They're not dry enough that you can actually powder into carob powder. So either you dry them in a dehydrator or in an oven, but without cooking them, only at a low temperature until they're dry. And then once they're dry, you can then powder them. I have this. This is just a very simple coffee grinder. Nothing special, just a very simple, very inexpensive coffee grinder. This is what I use to make my carob powder. What I do is I take the carob. Sometimes they have these little stems on them. I take the stems off and I just simply break up the pieces and put them in the grinder. Now, sometimes if it's like this, it's hard to get them in, you know, to break it, but okay. You just get them as small as you can. Don't put in too many at once. You don't want to fill it too much. Now, the important thing is to not grind too much or for too long, because grinders heat up, and then that heat will also affect the quality of your powder. So look at this. You saw how much I put in, right? Put that in. Put that back in. Now, look at this. See that? It's actually quite a lot. You see that? That's a lot of powder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind all of these into this initial bit. Okay, this is the first grind. The little motor in this coffee grinder is starting to heat up, and I don't want it to overheat, so I have to set it aside. As you can see, I still have all this left to do. And you can see how few I use this. I filled it up maybe 4 times, maybe 5 times. But look at all of this wonderful powder that I got from just a couple of handfuls. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to sift it. And the reason I'm going to sift it is because this is still a coarse grinding. And I don't know if you can see in there, but it's got seeds and it's got pods and other things in there. I'm just going to sift this out to get a finer powder. See this? Look at this. Do you see all these things? These are pieces of seeds. It doesn't really grind the seeds up as well as we would like it to. Some of them are still whole. And you'll see just from the very few, just a handful I put in, and I get a lot of powder from just that little bitty handful. And now you see, this is everything that I sieved out of it. Some of these seeds are still whole. Some of them have been cut in half. And I'm just going to put these aside, put them into my compost pile, and the spoon. Okay. Again, you don't want to put too much in here, and you don't want to let it go for too long, because not only does the motor overheat, but also you don't want the powder to get all caked up from the heat. You don't want to cook it. And you can see it's like really powdering up there from the window. And then you have to let it settle, because right now if I take the lid off, there's just going to be this powder of carob. See? That powder of carob. And I would rather keep the powder together, and I don't want to breathe it in. But look at that. Look at that fine powder. Isn't that beautiful? And then I have a finer sieve that I put this powder through. And then I just keep doing it until I have a lot of carob powder. Does it take a little time? Yes. Is it worth it? Yes. No fillers here. It's 100% carob from a wild tree. Can't get any better than that. This is it's like a coffee filter sieve or a tea sieve, and it's stainless steel, so I don't have to constantly use paper or whatever. It's a really good sieve. And I just go like this. And this makes a nice powder. My room smells like carob. Yay. All right. So this is how much carob powder I got from just the black tray of carobs. This is a 500 milliliter jar. So that's nice. I cleaned the carob that I picked today from earlier in the video. It is now drying so that it's not wet, obviously. And I will be turning that into powder within the next coming days. I just wanted to show you what the waste is. This is the waste. Now, I could grind this down even more. I could grind it down even more and grind it down even more, but I don't think that it's worth it for me to just keep grinding that and keep grinding that. The time, the motor for the little coffee bean grinder, so I didn't. But this is the waste, and this I'm going to put into my compost, and it will decompose in there. It'll be very good. Anyway, that is how we turn carobs into carob powder. Until next time.